there's 2 months of summer left for me. Actually, less than 2 months before I have to go back to university. And I got reminded of that fact because I was talking with my one of my high school teachers, and she was like, "Yeah, we have to go back to school pretty soon to, you know, add things to classrooms, prepare for the new school year, prepare for the curriculum, and all that stuff." And I was thinking, like, dude, like I am running out of time with summer, you know. Like these past 3 weeks or so, it's just been working. I work for like a pizza chain, so like it's not like a hard job by any means. It's minimum wage, so like it's a very physical job, but it's not physical like that physical as in like you're out there cranking your body and like destroying it. It's not that hard. It's just it's certainly like a job I'm not particularly used to, but I've gotten used to the routine. I know what to do, all that stuff. But there's really a lot of things I want to do besides work. I don't want to just work and then that's it for the summer. I want to do more stuff. But the main thing that I want to do is I really want to go back to the gym because it has been, I think for me, it's been almost like a full year since I last consistently worked out. And that's a hard thing for me to say because, I actually like working out. Like, I guess right now I don't clearly because I'm not working out that much. But, intellectually, I do like working out a lot. But obviously, like, that's clearly not the case because I haven't worked out in so long. But, like, I mean, I've gone back, from time to time, like winter break this summer. I've like gone back like a couple days, but they wouldn't last too long, and so that's something I really need to get back to a lot. You know, and like the last time I went, it was like a week or so ago. I worked out, and I was kind of just like gauging like how much muscle I've lost, just to like see like where I'm at. And I haven't actually lost that much muscle, which I haven't really gained that much muscle to be honest. Like I had like the short newbie gains, but they weren't like that. But they weren't that big. And I think I'm like 90% of where I was at before, so I haven't lost that much muscle. So I think it's easy to recoup that back, but I need to get back to the gym to like go beyond that, way beyond that. And with work, sometimes work can get in the and or not get in the way of it, but like when you're working, right, you obviously have to work out at the time. So I think with me that I want to work out in the morning, which initially like I've worked out in the morning before, like back in like the summer of 2023. I had to work out in the morning because I had driving classes in the evening, so I couldn't work out in the afternoon because I'd have driving classes later. So I was like, let's just work out in the morning, get it over with, and then the rest of the days to myself, and then I go to driving class. That was back in 2023. And so for me now, it's like I want to go work out in the morning. Now I could. Now here's the thing: I could theoretically work out in the evening, or afternoon whenever I get off of work. But the thing is, I'm tired, or not tired, but it's just like it's very easy, to just be like, oh, I'm done with work. Now I just want to go home and chill, and that's it. You know, after I'm done with work, man, I can tell like I'm pretty sweaty. Like there's like flour all over my pants, and like it's just I'm just not in the mood to work out. Not that I would be necessarily in the morning. If you imagine you wake up and then you're like, oh man, I gotta go work out. But I definitely would much prefer working out in the morning than I would going after work when I'm sweaty, I have like flour all over my hands and all that stuff, right? I think and here's like my rationale for why I would work out in the morning, right? Is that you know if you work, you don't have to go work out, right? You don't have to, right? Now you can and you should if you didn't work out in the morning, but theoretically you don't have to go work out, right? You could just go home and then just relax, right? I've seen that with my brothers, right? Like they'll go, he'll work and then he'll come back. He's like he wants to chill for a little bit. Now to be fair to him, he does work out later. Like 2 or 3 hours after he's done with work and after he's chilled for a bit, then he does go work out. So that's fine. Personally, I'm not that kind of guy. I don't think I'm that guy who wants to chill and then go work out. I'm like either I work out right before work and then get to work, or I work and then get to working out right after, right? And I think for me, I don't want to work out right after I work. So for me, the thing is, I would, and again, the rationale is I would rather is that I should work out and then go to work, right? Because if you work out, you still have to go to work unless I have a day off. So I would much rather do something that I should and then do something I need to do versus something that I need to do and then something that I should, because chances are I'm probably not going to take that. So that's the main thing I want to do. Well, that's one of the main things I want to do. But another big thing I really want to do, and this is like very important for me, is like I need to like sleep before midnight. Now, you know, sleep 8 hours, like all that stuff is good. I don't want to necessarily like obviously I want to sleep 8 hours, but like really for me, I really just want to sleep before midnight. Like sleeping, like late sleeping has become like a huge problem for me. And it's funny because I was telling myself like like the last few weeks of university, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna fix my sleep schedule and sleep on time, get 8 hours of sleep every day, all that stuff. And guess what? I'm sleeping at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes even 4 a.m. if it gets that bad. Like it's not good for me by any means, because then you wake up at like 10 a.m. or you wake up at 11 a.m. or sometimes like I've been waking up like noon, and I'm thinking like, dude, like this is not beneficial to me in any way. And it's not even like anyone else is up at that time too. Most of the time I'm kind of just like on the game by myself or like watching a video by myself, and it's just like and this is something that I've noticed is that like whenever I'm staying up that late, usually past like midnight. I would say past midnight, but really like past like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. is that like nothing, like nothing is fun, right? Not like you're obviously not gonna work or do something during that time, productive during that time, right? But like also gaming or like watching videos, it's not even necessarily fun. You're kind of just doing it. Like I'm doing it just to delay sleeping, right? Like I want to just stay up a little more just to get like a quicker dopamine rush or something like that. So it's like it's not even like fun past like 2 a.m. So like why am I even trying to sleep later than that? It doesn't make any sense. So for me, I want to sleep before midnight, and also too, it doesn't help that like whenever it's like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., the sun's shining and the sun's just shining through the windows, and I'm like a little awake, but I'm not like really awake because I'm still sleeping technically speaking, and so sleeping before midnight that's something I want to do. Now obviously I want to sleep 8 hours, but like really I think if I can just sleep before midnight, I'll realistically I'll wake up at like 7 or 8 a.m. and I'll get like my 7 or 8 hours sleep then, right? And then I wake up at a more reasonable time. I'm not waking up, when the sun's like in the in at the top of the sky. It's like it's still starting to get up, right? Combine that too with work, right? I have a lot of the opening shifts, so like if I work at 10 a.m., I should not be waking up at 10 a.m. or even 9 a.m. I should wake up at like 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. Something way earlier than that. So that's another thing I want to do, and I want to cook more too. That's another thing I really want to do, and it's not hard to do that. I can make my own meals. I can cook meats, I can cook vegetables, all that stuff, right? I'm not a professional by any means. Like my brothers, they can cook like good steaks. They can cook like 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 5-star meals. For me, I don't really care about like cooking like fancy meals that like impress me necessarily or impress my friends. I'm more of a I'm thinking about it from a more utility perspective, right? Like I want to cook something that's healthy, that's tasty. Like don't get me wrong, I want a food that's tasty, but I also want one that's nutritious. That's it's like quick to make. It doesn't take that long to make. And the thing is, I'm a slow cook, so like if I try to do fancy stuff, it's gonna take me way longer than I think it does. And you know, like for example, one of like the meals I have, right, is that like I make some 90-10 ground beef, usually 90-10, cook it with some carrots, carrots, white onion, and then I'll have some like yellow bell peppers, right? And then you just have like a base of rice as your carbs, right? And that's like a quick meal you can make. Like if I make like 2 pounds of the beef and like every other vegetable, it could take like 2 hours, right? It's not gonna take that long, and I can meal prep it out for like the whole week then, and just have like a meal to eat. So like if I don't want to cook, breakfast or something like that, I could just pop it in the microwave. Boom, that's it. That's my meal right there, right? And it's my mom, my brothers still cook meals for the whole family, so it's not like so it's not like I'm only cooking this and only eating this, right? Because there's meals that my family makes that I'll eat, and too, it kind of helps too that I work at a pizza chain, so I can make my own pizza there theoretically, but I really shouldn't eat pizza over there because it's definitely not healthy for me by any means. But cooking is another thing I want to do, and the kind of like and like two there's like other hobbies I want to do, or I don't know if hobbies is the right word, but there's other things I want to do too. um the main things I want to do is I really want to read a lot more, and I want to write a lot more. Reading in particular I really want to do because I haven't like because as you saw in the preview, right, assuming you've watched it, I haven't finished a book since 7th grade, and I need to like finish at least one book. you know which is, it's not an accomplishment by any means, but it's something I really need to do. And but more than that though, or not, I guess not more than that, but on top of that as well, I want to write more. Not like write books or like anything that like that by any means, but I guess like the right term is to journal more. I want to journal my own thoughts. I want to you know journal about what I'm grateful for. I want to journal about my day. Like what happened throughout the day. Um, and I think journaling about your day in particular, right? Like the things that I noticed when I would journal about my day is that you begin to notice patterns, right? If you wake up, if you write, if you journal right, consistently, right? You wake up at this time and you feel this way, right? Then you're thinking like, huh, should I sleep earlier or should I sleep later, right? You sleep earlier and then you journal like for a week or so, and you notice the pattern that you are more productive. You're happier, all that stuff, right? And it's like, like I think we have millions of thoughts every day, or even more than that, right? But we don't have a vessel to display those thoughts, right? Because and here there was actually like a good thought experiment I did, right? If if you were asked what's 2 plus 2, right? You would say, oh, that's 4, easy, right? But if you were told what's 1,233 plus 2,329, right? You'd be like, hold on, let me like take like a journal or let me take like a piece of paper, write it out, and solve it then, right? And the reason why, and like, and you might be wondering why I'm bringing this up. It's like I'm saying this because when you journal your thoughts out, right? Like you're putting your thoughts there, and you're giving yourself more room for other things, right? You're putting your thoughts there that you can reflect back on, that you don't have to worry about until you want to, right? And it gives you a chance to like notice patterns about your day. It gives you a chance to like recognize like what moods do you have, what feelings do you have about yourself, and why is that the case, right? It really helps you tackle the root cause of this. And I can only say so much about this because I haven't journaled in like probably a year, like Jim. I haven't really like properly journaled in so long, but you know, with the journaling, you really begin to notice things about yourself maybe you wouldn't have if you hadn't journaled, because you aren't placing your thoughts on that piece of paper or that notebook and allowing yourself to take time to think about it, right? You're kind of just letting the thoughts pass by, and then when they come back again, you're still stuck on it because you haven't taken the time to really think about it and write them down. So writing, reading are those. I want to hang out with friends more. Of course, I want to go out and hang out with them. And there's not really many third places again. Like you're gonna go to restaurants, shops, and all that stuff. But I want to hang out more, right? And I'm sure we can make things up. We can find something else to do. We're built to adapt. Like yeah, there might not be third places like there are in other places, but like we can find something to work. We can make something work. I'm sure there's always ways to make it work. Like showing up to friends at work. But there's really a lot of things I want to do. But I would say those are like the core things I want to do. And I don't like all I'm doing is working, right? That's the only thing I'm required to do is to work, and that's it, right? I don't have school, I don't have summer classes, I don't have any of that stuff. I'm just here to work, and that's it. So that's my ideal vision for this summer. But I think honestly, I kind of want to go back to 2016 music, because right, it's been 10 years since 2016, right? So I'm kind of on my deliveries because I'm a delivery driver. I'm out here playing like those classics, just Justin Bieber. He's a classic artist, and all these other artists. I'm just thinking Justin Bieber off the top of my head, but it's all that, and I don't know. I'm still like excited for the summer in a somewhat way, right? Which is funny because I haven't really like executed on it as much as I thought I would, but like there's still 2 months left. Like it's still a solid amount of time. Like I can make it work, right? And like I want to make this a good summer for myself and try to move on from my past. Because 2023 summer for me was a really good summer, and I don't. It's not that I don't know why necessarily, but like even now, but like even when I know why, I'm still thinking like what about it made it so good, right? And I think the simple answer to this is that I was just living in the present, right? That doesn't mean I wasn't thinking about the future. That doesn't mean I wasn't thinking about my past either. it just meant that, whenever I was out with friends, whenever I was trying to do something, I was just in the moment. And then if I have enough, and then when I have time to, or rather, I should have time to, I'll reflect back on my past and I'll think about my future more. And I think that's the big thing I need to do is just be present in the moment. Obviously have time to think about your future, have time to reflect back on your past, and think about that. But it's important to be present in the moment, because if you're not present in the moment, then when will you be? So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.